And then he fell asleep. He passed out. He didn't get to finish what he was going to say in reality form, but he was already in a dream explaining his emotions. It took him on a journey where he couldn't even remember himself or Lastel. The only thing that was present now was his situation, and it was describing itself in an alien nature. He can hear the energy of the images that were presented to him. Confusion was at his feet, but he understood that there were things that he could never explain, so he went along with it. He didn't fear. He fought. And sometimes joined with it, as long as it was speaking about vibrations of love. Love for him didn't exist, but he knew that it was only because there wasn't one explanation to what it stood for. He felt trapped at times, but then even there he found a speck of something to believe in, and that took him in another journey, until finally what he needed to explain instead, Lastel explained it. I can travel through time and space, physically as well, only when I know that words are more powerful than what we see. Word is an invisible energy, and it can turn into whatever your emotions provide for it. The reason why our skin complexion changes color is because the energy of the sun is still alive by believing within us. It is not here anymore. It died. And just like that, you can give life to a word and give it manifestation. If the moon is where your heart sleeps and rests, the sun is where your mind is nurtured. That fire of passion, that's what makes you believe. And the harder you believe, the easier it is to resist the lies of people. Someone closed your eyes, and now you believe that this is reality, that you are not in control. To mix dreams and mix visions with eyesight when you're awake is the hardest thing to do if you believe in yourself. When you stop believing in yourself, you're in the moment, and then that's reality. And after reality, you can stay still, and then your mind starts to wonder, well, now where do I go if I can't shape anything? And it goes to the last place where you slept and where you were awake, and then it makes it until it's in front of you. The thought, the words, all of that turns into something, an embodiment. This is why you were once happy and you felt crazy, because you manifested it. Because you didn't care about what was inside of you. and you didn't see what was in front of you. Now Chase and Lestelle were inseparable. Neither of them were blindfolded, and their emotions were being transformed for the best. They grew stronger, but that didn't mean that the circumstances were going to get any better. The tower was more terrifying at night, though you couldn't see the sky because the buildings were infinite, but the manifestation of the darkness was strong as at 5 or 6 a.m., right before the rising of the sun, if they could see it, that is. Chase looks at Lestelle, and for the first time, they can't look away. When Chase woke up, Lestelle held him, and she told him there are different dimensions. You're not fully awoken. This isn't your full embodiment. But the one embodiment that you did have, which was of the world, planet Earth, you got abused. Not only mentally, but physically, they played games with you, because a lot of people were awoken. Even your parents were awoken. The things that you didn't understand. You had a lot of innocence. And innocence brings holiness. Holiness is like a place where you're whole, where you're kept, where you're complete. In a tactic form where nobody can tell you what is right or wrong. Because harm doesn't exist. You cannot hurt anything. And now you're here with me, and I'm explaining to you why you pass out in random situations where trauma takes your mind and it tells you don't face it, erase it. When you were little, this is when you were taught to just go along with things. When you disagreed with your mother, even over silly things, even if you were right, they didn't like that. And what they did to you was destroy this part of your life that was so important. And this is when you got lost in seizures and you thought that you were in a astral projection universe, but you weren't. Then you would end up waking up in a different location. When you woke up from your seizure, you woke up and you noticed you urinated on yourself. And you didn't understand why you were in a different corner from where you last were. You can't even remember what happened in between and what got you there. And when you asked your mom, she didn't say anything. And you remember that part. You remember before it became bad. But you couldn't remember what happened in between. How did you get to that corner? When you had the seizure, what happened when you first blacked out? When you blacked out, and then what happened when you got all the way to this corner? What happened in between? It made you so afraid that you never wanted to question your mom again, and you never wanted to say things, whether you were wrong or right. It created a blockage between you receiving peace and you receiving that you're capable of anything in this world. You were deceived. You kept asking yourself about the hallucinations that you had in between, but you knew those hallucinations were not real. Your mother spinning you around, your brother laughing and spinning you around, and then seeing a man with a black cape on. You knew that was all a hallucination. So you kept questioning what really happened, what really took place. If you were knocked out because of the seizure, how did you get from one corner to the next? You were first in the living room, that's what you recalled, and then you ended up in a corner in your kitchen. And it still creates trauma to this day. Why did your mind rather recall a hallucination than what really took place? Your earthly form questioned it as an adult, and you thought maybe they gave you pills like Preparanolol. But your spiritual forms know that people have capabilities. They're capable also of controlling people through what we don't see, what is alien nature to us. Well, what the government wants us to believe. And not just the government. People are capable of this. Any random person that wants to do harm will do harm, especially to those that want to be free.